Acting on behalf of the Modern Babylonian Comics, and in accordance with a routine from the ancient Babylonian Comics Book of Secret Teachings, present Greg, co-founder of Babylon Theater and co-host of the 15-minute Babylon Theater Hour on DOA, on the same subject he is talking about, creating redundancy where there once had been merely confusion.
I can't hear anything. Hello? Hello? I'm not really a stethoscope, although I sometimes play one on TV. Enough of this tomfoolery. I'll give this back to Tom later. My name is Greg, and along with my partner Nolan, I am attempting to administer the Modern Babylonian Comics. As you can see, since you are watching this on the famous video channel that we all know and love. Some of us love it more than know it. Some of us know it more than love it. Me, I try to be equanimous in my love and knowing, and so I say, I know and love this. What do you call it? This Earl. Earl, are you here? Earl's back there, in the booth. I'm sitting here talking about Babylon Theater and a few of the others, are we not? And most specifically, the new appearance on the horizon of many of our viewers of the Modern Babylonian Comics, which many of us know has come down to us now from the ancient Babylonian Comics, who ruled ancient Babylon with humor and wordplay. We now know that many of these traditions, which we have come to believe are of modern invention, perhaps going back as far, if we want to reach back a ways, as the Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift and perhaps Robinson Crusoe, although the latter was not full of comedy, but it was full of babbling. The Babylon Theon is nothing more nor less than a corner of the Babbleverse. What is the Babbleverse? The Babbleverse is not a form of quatrain or some other poetic device. No, the Babbleverse has very little to do with poetry. In fact, it mostly has to do with reality and it being the kind of place that you want to be. If you want to be in a kind of place that you would like to be, perhaps you too should investigate the Babylon Theon and its larger neighborhood, the Babbleverse. Babbleverse is a wonderful place full of green lawns and sweeping vistas of skyscrapers, desert landscapes, and ancient rivers running through them. Ancient guides of these rivers still ply their byways and echo chambers with their attempts to subdue the natives and spread the religion of their forefathers. Their forefathers were all Puritans, and this is why they're flying down the river as quickly as they can to get away from their families, and natives be darned, anything is better than being at home. Now, the Babbleverse really never came to light until it was explained by some cosmologists that there are many universes besides the one in which we think we dwell. And the universe, in fact, then would only be perhaps an overarching container holding all the rest of the verses, as we like to call them. That would be verses apostrophe VERSES, short for Babbleverses, like Babbleverse, Controverse, and Reverse. The Reverse, of course, is where you want to be if you prefer to listen to classic rock day and night. But the Columboverse is one in which you can watch all kinds of repetitive detective channels. Not all verses have to do with television, however. In fact, most of them don't, since many of the gods which created them did so before the advent of television and after its demise. The Babbleverse is a wonderful place, as I said before, and I'm not going to say it again. Nevertheless, we, Nolan and I, do spend a lot of time there every chance we get, which is once a year or so at the least. Often we spend weeks and months there at a time, such as we did in the latter part of 2021. Preparing that movie for you, the Babylontheon, which I'm sure you have watched, liked, and thereafter had all your friends subscribe for more. I'm Greg of Babylon Theater, proud now to be the holder of the mantle, or at least half of the mantle of the ancient Babylonian comics, which have handed down to us the great book of comedy, which was the centerpiece of ancient Babylonian jurisprudence, theater, comedy, and bartending. Bartending was a big business in ancient Babylon, as you can imagine, especially when the workers came in at the end of the day, sweaty and grimy and covered with soot, as they had been building the never-ending Tower of Babel. So much like some of the freeway systems which we cross every day, as you probably do too. Unless you're somewhere in New Jersey, where I understand they don't have freeways but only gardens. If you're wondering where this speech is going, well, it's going right down the drain, probably. But since this is Tube, the channel which, or the station which we all love and love at Google, we're going to talk amiably despite all our differences. And believe me, you, and you me too, there are a lot of differences between us and them. One of the main differences is that we are sincere in our efforts to bring to you the news of the day, which is that comedy is king, and the wife of the king is really upset about that. You see, comics generally have to spend a lot of time in comedy clubs because most comics cannot get away with the sort of things they do on the public streets, so they go to a comedy club. This was much the case in ancient Babylon as well. We don't know what the streets were like there during the day because not much has been told about daily life in Babylon. But Greg and I and Nolan and he are swiftly coming up to speed on this sort of thing due to our having been blessed by the ancient Babylonian comics with the mantle and the portmanteau that goes with it of modern Babylonian comics. A title which we did not deserve, ask for, nor will we be seeking the nomination of our party for another term. Unfortunately, the term is for life, so you know what that means to the rest of you. It means lots of good times ahead as you watch this channel, Modern Babylonian Comics channel, MBC as we call it, not to be mistaken for the other 12 or 15,000 MBCs that you can see on your sidebar if you happen to land on ours first or second or third. But be that as it may, we took the name MBC not because it was a standalone nomenclature, but because it was the best thing we could come up with to represent our mentors, the ABC, in the modern day. Let me just speak a little bit more about the modern day. Many people feel that the modern day began at sometime shortly after Jesus and Golly were walking the earth. In other words, a couple or more thousand years ago. But we here at MBC consider that the modern age is beginning just now. We don't want it to go too far before it changes, however, because everyone knows what happens when age gets away from us. With that, I'm going to turn the time back to Billy and his recurring band with their newest song, I'll Bet You Want to Get onto YouTube as fast as possible. But in the meantime, once again, this is Greg of Babylon Theater, now the MBC affiliate, and thank you for being a part of our comedy family. Turn off the camera, Fred. Fred, turn off the camera. Okay, I'll get it.